I'm Jared Brennan and I'm a self-employed writer. The reason I got into writing was because I've had a lifelong love for reading. When you spend enough time with books, eventually you start thinking, how would I do something like this? I honestly didn't think I could be a writer. It was something I fancied, kind of like when you're a kid and you want to be a superhero. But with the advent of the internet and things like that, it meant that people like me who didn't have access to, say, internships at publishing houses and things like that, I was able to sort of self-teach myself things. Because all of a sudden there was this playground where a bunch of people who wanted to be writers could meet and they could share ideas. The first book I got published was The Point. It was in 2012. I had recently gotten an agent. That was a long enough process, something that you can't really give up on, because I do personally feel like it's necessary to have an agent, because if you're trying to be too many things, you're not going to concentrate as hard on the writing itself. And if you want to be a writer, if you're going to put yourself out as a writer, you have to remember that the writing is the important thing. I know for a fact that I wouldn't have half the success I have now if it wasn't for venues like the Arts Council or the Department of Education and Learning actually funding me, because I didn't have like a huge amount of savings or a rich family to fall back on. This most recent deal is definitely the most prestigious in terms of how many bookshelves it's getting into. Starting of course with the actual publisher themselves, which is No Alibis Press in Belfast. And they're a sister company to No Alibis Bookstore. My favourite part of writing is having written, basically. I like the feeling of having done something that you can look back on and say, oh, that didn't exist before I came along today, and wipe the sleep out of my eyes and started typing. You can't become a plumber without doing an apprenticeship, and the most direct way to have a writing apprenticeship is to read the kind of books that you want to write. So decide what you want to write, whether it be horror, crime fiction, literary fiction. There are so many possibilities, and read until your eyes bleed.